out by finding and reading the documentation for all the components in the system, such as the stepper drive, the PLC, the stepper motor, etc. I then proceeded to wire up the system according to the documentation. For the connections between the driver and the PLC, I used sourcing logic, as the documentation stated that the driver didn't have a preference, but the PLC did, which was sourcing. The connections involved three wires, one for the direction and one for pulse, and the last for the enable to the driver. The other end of these wires were connected to the V1, V2, and V3 on the PLC outputs.
The pulse in controls the acceleration, deceleration, as well as the operating speed by varying the frequency of the signal as shown. The direction pin controls the direction of the motor by giving the drive an on or off signal. The enable pin enables the drive to operate and needs to be low in order to initiate operation.
I also took this time to set up my drive by toggling the dip switches on the front based on the diagram on the side of the drive and the documentation for the stepper motor.
This was done by first utilizing the number of axes we'll be using for this program. In this case, it was 1.
Then choose the PLC outputs that will be used to drive the stepper motor. In this case, I used Y1 to control pulse and Y2 to control the direction. I also chose my min and max velocity, etc. For this program, I decided to use the velocity move command, as this one would allow me to move more easily in both the positive and negative directions. For this command, I had to set up my deceleration, acceleration rates, and the target velocity, as well as the direction, negative for reverse, and positive for forward. Here's my program. As you can see, I utilized two velocity move commands, one for forward direction and one for reverse. Notice that the reverse command's velocity is half as much as the forward command. The velocity, as well as the deceleration and acceleration, are easily toggled in the move commands.
Here's the system working.
To move the block forward, I hit the right forward button. To move it back, I hit the left reverse button. Notice that the reverse is half as fast as the forward, as mentioned earlier. The velocity for the reverse was toggled to be about half as fast as the forward velocity. Another way to vary the speed is to increase the pulses per revolution by toggling the dip switches on the drive. Following the diagram on the side of the drive, I switched it from 400 pulses per revolution to about 800. This made the motor move roughly half as fast, but much more precise.